In 1999, a letter arrived at the offices of a major Pakistani newspaper. It was handwritten, cold, detailed. It began, "This is my confession." The letter was signed by Javed Iqbal, a man who claimed to have murdered 100 homeless boys in Lahore, Pakistan, dissolving their bodies in acid and disposing of the remains. Authorities were skeptical at first, until they opened his house. What they found inside would haunt the nation forever. This is the story of Javed Iqbal, one of the most disturbing serial killers the world has ever seen. Javed Iqbal was born in 1956 into a wealthy and respected family in Lahore, Pakistan. He was the sixth of 8 children. Iqbal had access to education, money, and privilege. He opened a video game arcade in the 1980s and later began renting out properties. On the surface, he was a quiet, eccentric businessman. But behind closed doors, things were different. He was known to surround himself with teenage boys from the streets. He often gave them food, shelter, and small gifts. What no one knew was that he was building a list of future victims. According to Iqbal's own writings, his killing spree began with revenge. In the late 1990s, he was arrested for sexually abusing a teenage boy. Though released, he claimed the arrest humiliated him and made him suicidal. He wrote in his confession that the system had shamed him, and he vowed to take revenge on society by killing 100 boys. Boys no one would miss. Boys no one was looking for. Between 1998 and 1999, Javed Iqbal lured runaway and homeless boys, usually aged 6 to 16, to his house in Mughalpura, Lahore. He offered them food, a place to sleep, or a job. Once inside, he would rape and strangle them. Then he would dissolve their bodies in a barrel of hydrochloric acid, dump the remains in a river, and record the entire process. He kept a detailed diary of every victim: names, ages, photos, dates. When he reached 100, he said he was done. On December 30th, 1999, Javed Iqbal sent letters to newspapers and police, confessing to the murder of 100 boys. Inside his house, police found 2 vats filled with acid and body parts, chains, clothing, and shoes of missing children, a wall full of photos of victims, a notebook listing each murder in order. The country was stunned. Panic spread across Lahore. Parents flooded police stations. For a while, Javed Iqbal vanished. A massive manhunt was launched. But Iqbal stayed ahead of authorities until, in a strange twist, he turned himself in. He walked into the office of Daily Jang, the same newspaper he had sent his letter to, and calmly said, "I am Javed Iqbal. I've done what I said. Take me to the police." He insisted that 4 teenage boys had helped him. 2 were caught, 2 were never found. In early 2000, Iqbal stood trial alongside his teenage accomplices. The evidence was overwhelming. He confessed again, openly, with no remorse. He said he wanted to be executed in the same way he killed his victims: strangled 100 times, chopped into 100 pieces, and dissolved in acid. The court agreed. He was sentenced to death by the same method he used: 100 lashings, followed by dismemberment and dissolution in acid. Before the sentence could be carried out, on October 8, 2001, Javed Iqbal and one of his accomplices were found dead in their prison cells. Authorities said they had committed suicide by hanging with bedsheets. But many in Pakistan believe they were silenced, either by guards or others who couldn't bear to see justice play out in public. The sentence was never fulfilled. The truth of how he died remains contested to this day. Javed Iqbal killed 100 boys, many of them living on the streets, abandoned or rejected by their families. So how did no one notice? Because he targeted the invisible, the voiceless, children with no one to speak for them. Police weren't tracking them. Society wasn't protecting them. He exploited that. And it's still a reality in many parts of the world today. In the aftermath of Iqbal's crimes, Pakistan saw an uprising in child advocacy and legal reform. But the case also revealed how far justice systems still had to go. There were no national databases for missing children, no centralized tracking, and still very little media attention for the poor. Javed Iqbal died in 2001, but the scars he left behind, on families, communities, and an entire nation, remain. Javed Iqbal's story isn't just about a monster, it's about a system that looked away for too long. When killers target those society forgets, it becomes our responsibility to remember their victims, to speak for the ones who couldn't. If this story affected you, share it, because silence is what lets crimes like this happen.